Hello and welcome to the Simple Worship Conversation. Of course, it's always aired at noon.
Yep.
But now airs on Wednesdays at noon. But you can watch it anytime after that. So I still like to call it the morning program. And of course, they spell morning.
It's morning somewhere.
With M-O-O.
It's going to
Because I'm
become a
Shannon
thing one
Moore.
day. I get it.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I got it.
And you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Lea McCracken. I am a UCC member along with the rest of my McCracken clan. And I am the Associate Chaplain for Disciples and Church Relations at TCU.
And you were on the program last week.
I'm back for round 2. I feel a little special.
Well, we said last week that you would come back. Though we're not talking about the same thing that we talked about last week.
I didn't know we weren't going to continue that conversation.
But you reeled yourself in. I'm also very disappointed that you're using a regular sized Bible.
I am using a regular.
Today.
I remembered the Gospel this week, or actually the Old Testament this week.
So if you didn't see last week, you should go back and look at it. Lee used our great big King James Bible.
I feel lighter today.
All right, so we are jumping ahead in the story. We're taking sort of a broad look at the Old Testament, and we started with creation, and then the last week we talked about Abraham, and today we're talking about one of Abraham's sons, Jacob.
Yep.
And so what I'm going to do, because we're in chapter 37 of Genesis, I'm going to read a little and tell a little, so that we can kind of get through this whole chapter but without reading the whole thing, because that would take up a long time. All right.
I'm ready.
So here we go. We know that Jacob, sometimes called Israel, has 12 sons. Okay, here we go. I'm starting with verse 3, and then I'm going to jump around a little bit. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he had made him a long robe with sleeves. I'm going to interject here. The King James says coat of many colors. Dolly Parton says coat of many colors. I say we go with that.
I do too.
But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. So then Joseph tells his brothers about these dreams that he has, and it's like, I was dreaming that we were bringing in the sheaves, and my sheaf rose up, and your sheaves bowed down to mine. What could that mean? And then he says another dream. I dreamed that there was the sun and the moon and 11 stars, and they all bowed to me. What could that mean? And so they continued not to like him and to be jealous of him. So then his dad, Joseph's dad, Jacob, sends him out to check on them, on the brothers. They're tending the sheep, and he's like, go see what they're doing, check on them, report back to me. All right, so I'm going to jump in now at verse 18. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. But Reuben, one of the brothers, heard it. He delivered him out of their hands, saying, let us not take his life. Reuben said to them, shed no blood, throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to their father. So he's got a plan.
Yep.
So then they do that. They strip him of this robe that they're jealous of and throw him into the pit. And then some travelers come by, and they decide that they're going to sell him to these travelers for 20 pieces of silver. And then the travelers take him to Egypt. Reuben comes back to get him. He's not there. He's very upset. Now we're at verse 31. Then they took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They had the long robe with sleeves of many colors taken to their father, and they said, this we have found. See now whether it is your son's robe or not. He recognized it and said, it is my son's robe. A wild animal has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and all his daughters sought to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, no, I shall go down to Sheol to my son mourning. Thus his father bewailed him. All right, so we're going to start our timer.
It's like
What goes, Rev McCracken?
What goes? Where are we going to start?
Well, the thing that stands out to me more than anything else in this sordid story is in verse 4.
Yeah.
When it says, the brothers saw their love of their father for Joseph, and they hated him, and they could not speak peaceably to him. And I think that sounds a lot like what's
Going on now.
going on in our nation and our world right now.
Yeah.
It's this hate that keeps us from speaking peaceably to one another. That's what stands out to me.
Yeah, I think so too. And the more I kind of sat with this and read it, I think, what is it that gets us to that place? How do we get from having an amicable conversation with somebody we might not agree with but can still be gracious to one day, to the next day, I really don't have anything in common, to the next day, I'm going to go down the other hallway, to the next day,
I hate you.
Hatred. I mean, it can happen so quick, and we know that. And I think one of the keys to me is a couple verses later when they stopped calling him his name. They called him a dreamer. So they're already starting to remove anything they had in common with Joseph, right? And I think we do that. At first, it's so-and-so, and then it's like our acquaintance, and then it's like our enemy, right? I mean, we can change our language so quickly to become further and further away from the people that we choose, because it is a choice to not be part of, be peaceable with.
Let me ask you this. Do you think all hatred is rooted in jealousy?
I think a good chunk of it is.
Okay.
I don't think all of it is, because I do think you can be hurt, and hurt turns to anger, and anger can turn to hatred.
Can turn to hate.
But I think in this case, it is a sheer example of what jealousy can do to us.
I want to play devil's advocate a little
Ooh,
bit.
I like it. Go for it.
I mean, the brothers are clearly the bad guys in the typical telling of this story. But I feel like Joseph eggs them on a little bit with these dreams. I mean, come on. You knew what that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, he played so naive. What does that mean? You know? And then the other, I feel like Jacob has some responsibility here in that he has chosen a clear favorite and
Been
gives
vocal
him,
about it.
Yeah, and gives him gifts to show, a special gift to show just how much. And I have a little trouble
I do too.
with that.
And to me, what's missing, and again, I'm a chaplain, so we like communication. There's no communication among this family with the real issues. There's
Well, look at verse 11. His brothers were jealous of him,
Yep.
but his father kept the matter in mind. They didn't talk about, well, he had rebuked him, it said, but they didn't talk about it.
nobody talked about it. Nobody called out Jacob to say, hey,
Or
listen,
Joseph.
Or Joseph, right? You just let the hatred stir.
Well, I guess Joseph did get called out a little bit, but
Not the way it
not-
needed to be.
right,
Hey, let's shut it down.
right.
And so, but then if you've got a group of people that agree with you, right? So you got all the other brothers over here and they start, can you believe he got the coat? Well, can you believe he said this? Can you believe his dream? Well, then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, the issues.
Well, even when we get, they decide to kill him, I mean, good for Reuben. You said earlier Reuben was your favorite.
I do like Reuben.
Yeah.
I mean, still not, making the best decisions, but he was trying to he was really trying to save his brother's life and look real good. And I think it's a big glimpse into what we're capable of too.
Right, because he didn't just say, let's not hurt him in any way. He said, let's just not kill him.
Right.
And then we'll
It's a little
hide
too
it. We'll
much.
throw him in this pit. I'll come get him later. Then I'll be the hero when I find him.
And Daddy will love me more.
Right, maybe I'll get me a coat.
Right. Which, you gotta love him for his honesty.
What they don't know is that the kids are going to make fun of him when they get to school, according to Dolly Parton.
According to Dolly.
But that's another
Which is
gospel.
just as good as gospel, let's be real. Sorry, little insight about me and Shannon and our love for Dolly Parton.
Yeah, so, and of course that plan doesn't backfire because it's kind of a passive-aggressive
Yeah,
plan.
right.
It's not straightforward. And so it backfires on him. We don't know where he went after they
Yeah,
put
I
him
would
in.
love to know where he went.
Yeah. Maybe he was just tired of being with them.
I mean, he was already trying to separate himself a little bit from him, to be the next golden child.
And so now they've gotten themselves in this situation where, he's gone. I mean, they've sold him. They've got the money in hand. and now they have to tell another lie.
That's what's exhausting about it. I mean, it's lie after lie after lie because of the refusal to take ownership. And I hate to keep bringing it back to where we are in our nation right now, but this is what it is. I think we get so committed to where we are that we have gotten to a point where we cannot show ourselves any other way than this is exactly who I am and where I am. You know, we keep trying to cover up what we're trying to do versus hit pause, I made a big mistake, or I said something to you that wasn't appropriate, or let's talk about this so that we're not continuing to make bigger and bigger mistakes.
Dad, this hurts my feelings.
Yeah, name it.
That you favor him. What has he done why?
Why?
Let's talk about it. But instead, it's easier to get the 10 or 11 of you together, complain, and then that feeds that anger, that feeds that jealousy, that hatred.
Hatred.
And I think we see that too. That's what social media has become, where we surround ourselves with people who hate the same things we hate, and those things become people. I mean, it starts out, I hate this ideology or this idea, but then it's I hate those people.
And how do you come back from that? Like we were talking earlier right before we started this, like I feel like when we move from hatred and anger and jealousy in our hearts, there's no room for love and compassion and grace. And so you have to make a choice. I mean, is it more important to hold on to hatred because of your own ideology? Or is it more important to make room because of the example Jesus set, that he was able to have conversations and still disagree?
You're saying they can't coexist in the heart.
You can argue with me, but I'm
asking.
I don't think so.
I just want to be clear. That's what you said.
I know when I've given in to anger and hatred and jealousy, I am a terrible person. And it is harder and harder for me to extend the love and the grace and the compassion I know I'm called to.
Is it easier to hate?
Oh, absolutely. Right, because then you don't have to deal with it. If I hate you, I get to cut you off.
And so Jesus calls us to love, which is a very hard command. In that it's you can't make yourself feel something, so that means you got to make yourself do something or act in a way that's not naturally the way you want to act. It's work.
It's work. It's the faith work.
And we have to make ourselves have these hard conversations if we're going to follow Jesus's call to love the people that we hate. Not that we don't like or that annoy us, but that we hate. And I tell you, I not to toot my own horn, but I try very hard to pray every day for somebody that I disagree with, or
I got my list too.
Yeah,
I think we all have our list.
It's so hard.
It's hard because it's vulnerable, right? We put ourselves out there. We only have control over how we act and what we say and what we bring to the table. We don't have any control about what the other person's going to bring.
Right.
So we finally put ourselves out there. Reuben finally has the conversation. Dad, I was almost going to do this because this is how this family dynamic has made me feel, and I'm broken and hurt, and let's have a conversation. Well, if we don't have that and it turns into later in life, Dad, this happened and I want to talk to you about it, you have no idea how it's going to be received on the other end. So it's vulnerability. Doesn't always mean it's still going to be met with grace and compassion and love on the other side.
Right.
But that can't be a reason why we don't try it.
Well, and we know the rest of the story. We know that, Joseph ends up rising up in the ranks of politics, of government in Egypt. And this family is going to need him. And he just keeps on playing the game.
Yeah.
We didn't read that, but you should.
You should keep going.
It's a very interesting story.
It's very interesting.
But he continues to play into these games that this family plays, which goes back. I mean, Jacob and his brother also didn't like
obviously
each other. And
down the line,
the mother helped fool. This is a pattern in this family, and these are our
ancestors.
Our ancestors of the faith.
I mean, it's what we inherited, but somebody's got to stop it.
Yeah.
So is it in this season that we're in 2020, which has no name to it except 2020,
Yeah.
because how are we going to stop those patterns that we're seeing?
I think as people of faith, as people who follow Jesus, we
got
have to
to.
commit to do the work to love the people that we hate.
Yep.
So that's your homework.
Amen.
Tell us how it's going.
You can join us because we're going to be trying over here.
We're going to try. And we can help you try.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. I don't
Do it
know
together.
How, but it just like hate breeds
Yeah.
hate.
Love and
breeds
compassion
love.
breeds love and compassion. It's
Let's
like
do
a
it.
domino effect.
Let's do it.
We got to.
All right, we're going to do it.
I'm ready.
We're ready.
Lord
All
knows
right.
the world needs it.
Thank you so much for joining
So
me.
fun. I love it. I love it.
And we'll see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye, y'all.
Love somebody.
Extra hard.